Can you believe it's already July? We're halfway through the year, which is crazy. That also means it's time for my June reading wrap-up. I managed to get through 3 books this month. They were all very different from one another, so let's jump in. The first book I finished this month was Finlay, Donovan Digs Her Own Grave by Elle Cosimano. This is the 5th book in the Finlay Donovan series. I rated this particular installment 4 stars, and I think it's my second favorite installment. My favorite is still the first book. Without getting into spoilers, in this book, Finlay and Vero find themselves in another chaotic, crazy predicament. The main mystery in this particular installment is a body found in the backyard of a neighbor, which I found to be a very fun mystery to follow and to try to figure out. What I absolutely adore about the entire series, and particularly in this book, is Finlay and Vero's relationship continues to grow, and I love getting to see their relationship. The witty banter between the two and their shenanigans, quite frankly, just doesn't get old to me. We also get to see more of Miss Haggerty, which is the nosy, curmudgeonly older neighbor who is in everybody's business, knows all the gossip. And what I really enjoyed was getting to see her backstory more and her as a character more. I absolutely fell in love with her more than I have in other books. And this did leave on a cliffhanger, which I have to find out. So I will be picking up the 6th installment whenever it comes out. Next, on to a romance, I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. This story follows a literary fiction writer and a romance writer who are both struggling with writer's block, and so they're challenging each other to write each other's genre. This does have the enemies to lovers trope, so if you like that, this would also be good to pick up. This was such a heartwarming read, especially the second half. I really fell in love with our 2 main characters, Gus and January. The witty banter between the two was also enjoyable, and there was a unique spin to the enemies to lovers trope, which I really enjoyed reading. The pacing was a bit slow at the beginning, but it did pick up in the latter half, and I absolutely loved the ending. Without spoiling anything, there were letters in this book that absolutely made me sob, and I mean like ugly cry sobbing. The small town setting and the friendships were also heartwarming and amazing to read. It was also rewarding to see January and Gus both grow as individuals and as an eventual couple. Now, a couple of things I didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy the miscommunication drama. I already mentioned that I did think that the first half was a bit slow. To be fair, I've been in a bit of a reading slump, or a big reading slump, over the past couple of years, and so I do think that that might have played into a factor of my enjoyment of the book. And I do think if I reread it, I might enjoy the book a bit more. And so it is one that I will consider rereading in a different summer. Okay, on to the last book. And this is my biggest disappointment. And this is All We Shall Know by Donal Ryan. I gave this one 2 stars. And it's simply a book that just was not for me. Before diving into my thoughts, I wanted to mention some trigger warnings. There is emotional abuse, physical abuse, bullying, mental illness, and suicide depicted in this book. The novel tells the story of a woman named Melody who lives in rural Ireland, and she is pregnant with an affair with a 17-year-old Irish traveler. And for reference, the age of consent in Ireland is 17. I did look this up, but it still made me feel icky, to be honest. And she's grappling with loneliness and guilt and the repercussions of her actions. However, I do think this might be a good read for somebody who wants to read stories about rural Ireland, the Irish travelers, and especially somebody who does not mind unlikable characters, because the main character is very unlikable. The story follows Melody throughout her pregnancy, and the book is structured in chapters, with each chapter covering a week of her pregnancy. Melody is incredibly depressed and lonely. The book is very introspective, but it is also dreadful in tone, which made it very hard for me to read. And every time that there would be like a redeeming moment for Melody, she kind of ruins it which also made it hard to continue reading because she was just so frustrating as a character. That being said, there are a few elements that I did like. I enjoyed the relationship between Melody and another traveler named Mary, and I actually liked Mary as a character. And also, Melody's father is an incredible father figure, and those aren't often seen in books, so that was a nice change. And her father shows her true unconditional love. I also liked the very last chapter in the book, the epilogue. I felt like it was a real moment of growth for Melody, and it's not necessarily a happily ever after, but I did like the ending. You really see Melody struggling with her failed marriage, the death of her mother, and the death of a high school friend. The book also explores how she blames herself for the death of her friend who was bullied tremendously in high school. And I thought the depiction of just how dangerous bullying can be was nicely done. Ultimately, this just was not the book for me. And that's my June 2025 reading wrap up. I would be interested to know if you've read any of these books and what your favorite book you read last month was. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for all of my bookish shenanigans, and happy reading, y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, y'all.